I guess I'm live. Here I am. Happy Friday. Anne Marie, hey. I meant to put something in my newsletter that will go out tomorrow about that drawing class, Anne Marie. I forgot. So that is not in the newsletter. But I wanted to let you know that I'm going to schedule something and we'll do it. If you message me, I'll figure out a time that works for you. So I have a list. I did this afternoon, and I got so much button art crap on my desk over there that I have a pile of stuff that I moved. It's been one of those weeks, and Mitch had an MRI this morning, and he was really worried about getting panicked. It was a full body MRI, so they gave him some amazing drug, and he's downstairs on the couch. He said he had to watch a 1-hour program twice because he missed so much. So that would be why people take drugs, because of the fun it can be. And so my first pattern in Sizzling Stitches was released this week. It's somewhere under my pile of stuff. It's not very impressive looking, but it is just it's just a little head wrap. I hate doing this, but gotta sell my stuff. Anyhow, the book, there's 5 designs total, and you can wear it so that if you had it tied in back, it would show like that. Or like to create a top knot up here. If you had more hair than I had, you could do all kinds of fun things. But it's just a way, like if you're swimming or sitting at the pool, which, like none of us have time to do, you can make yourself look a little bit more presentable. So this colorway is called Rocka Your Socks, and it's from Oink Pigments. It's cotton and silk, and the color is named for a candy that was long made in Tacoma. I don't think it is anymore, called Almond Roca, and it's fucking delicious. And here's another version. So those are German short rows, so they're narrower here. And then there's fisherman's rib and like that. So this colorway I call Sun and Sky. And it is Vera from Zula and Breeze, which is same fiber content. They're different gauges. The same with the Roca, which is Guild and Coven yarn. And so this one still have ends on, but they're all glued into place. And then I just thought, God, it's like really boring. But it was probably just because I had knit 3 of these. So I put beads in, and I have these beads that have 4 holes. So I just came up with a way to do it. I put a few at the bottom, but I need to block it or steam it. Made these little corner thingies, and it's just to make it a little dressier, a little fun, more fun. So that book is released. It's 5 designs from 3 designers. They're all just simple head things. And so I, of course, one of my moments of creative stupidity said, I'll just make the other designers' things. That'll be good at home in my free time. So I am making the patio bandana scarf, which came out last week. I have ripped it like 2 times. I think I should probably rip it a 3rd time, but I'm not going to. So this is brioche stitch. I got bored last night, so I put the orange in there, which I think is really pretty. And I don't have very much left. So I'll probably, I don't know whether I'll do another scarf or stripe, or if I'll put in or make one of the I-cord ties out of that. So these are Mitch has been having all sorts of allergies. I tell you, never be married to an old man. He's only 3 years older than me. So I've been buying protective pillow covers for the pillows in the living room, and excellent little bags. They're like 7 inches wide, like 3/4 of an inch deep, and like 10 inches tall. So here are my instructions and all the things I needed to bead. So that's kind of been my knitting. I think tonight, as a treat, I'm going to wind this into a ball in front of the TV. And I have learned so much this week. Oh my God. You know, I'm always looking for ways to improve myself. And so my first revelation was I made this, this is waiting for padding glue so I could make it into scratch paper, make it into quick note pad. I keep a notepad in my bathroom so I can write things down while I'm putting my makeup on or when I get out of the shower, or when Mitch says something to me out, as I'm going to bed and I know I won't remember it. So I have this really cool cover. You have to read my blog to find out what it looks like. And I've got like 3 sheets of paper left in it. I think I got it right after the end of COVID when the shop that I'd bought my previous one and reopened. And they have since closed and the owner no longer makes these pads. So I really love it. It says many good ideas on the front. And so I went online one day and found out how you make a pad. And so I need to buy the padding glue to do that. And then I've got another one from my grocery list. This was the paper after I'd cut the 4x4. So those are all ready to go. And when I go to physical therapy later in the week, I'll stop on my way home at the art store. And so that was the first thing. I was like reflecting on how much fun I had. Just cutting the paper and planning what I was going to do and looking up, making the glue, deciding I would buy it instead. And I thought, I have so much fun when I do these little crazy craft things, but I kind of don't allow myself to do it. And I'd committed to myself that I would do creative things in July. And mostly thinking I would do it on the weekends. And so I was sitting there thinking about it, as I do. And I thought, years and years ago, I said, okay, I'm not going to sew anymore. I'm not going to do anything else. I'm just going to concentrate on my knitting and what I do with that, which I've done, focused on knitting for 30 some years. But I haven't really sewn since, I made Mitch a pair of jeans and I made a dress and mocked up a pair of pants for myself. That's like, and then I do repairs. That's all I do. So the last time I really sewed was probably in 1996. Put the sewing machine away in 1998 and haven't really sewn since then. So I've cut out a top, made the pattern, cut out the top. But I really started wondering, is the fact that I said to myself, you can't do anything else except knitting, why I kind of never follow through on these other little creative things that I get going. So thinking about that a lot, that was real learning, eye-opening moment for me. And then I would have been working from Lindsay's pattern. And, my pattern for the scarf is like 10 pages. And, I've got 4 videos on how you do it. And you can see a fun time lapse video of me sewing the beads on Instagram. I don't know that I've posted it to Substack yet. Anyhow, so the first thing I found, like I've never done brioche before. So she has BRK and all she says is BRK. There's no explanation. There is nothing. And then there's BRK FYOF. What the fuck? So I just emailed her, messaged her on Slack and said, tell me what to do. She sent me a video on how to do brioche. And I found her description and a video on this BRK FYOF, which is just how you increase. But again, no explanation on the pattern. And so, my patterns were quite informative. And I found this rather frustrating. But, once I got over that, it's been fun. And the reason I had to rip twice was because I didn't do the increase ratio. So she has a tech editor. And Marie said someone needs a tech editor. And the thing is that, we all know what we're doing. And we as designers and pattern writers, and we make assumptions about what other people know. I know tons about knitting, but I've never done brioche before. And then, of course, I had no worsted weight yarn that I wanted to work with. So I'm using DK, which meant that I had to redo all the math, which is why I got the increases screwed up because I was too lazy to get off the couch and go and see what my rate of increase was. That was last night. And the night before, it was that I was counting 2 rows as one. Anyhow, that's what happens when you do your knitting at night. But I found that really interesting how, and I think as designers, we always complain that people want too much help, blah, blah, blah. But we never know what somebody needs. And that's what I've always had in mind when I write my patterns, that, you need to know what those abbreviations mean, and not just the abbreviation, but the technique that is behind it. And I didn't like any of her abbreviations, so I changed them all. You can find that online. And so, because I posted about how interesting it is that I can't follow somebody else's pattern without help. We'll wait until next week when I'm doing crochet, which I literally have not done since I was 15, except, for putting a crap stitch edge on something. And the reason I don't crochet is because I can't read those instructions because of my crazy brain. So I'm making a swatch, and I've, watched a ton of videos, and, crocheting isn't hard. It's just reading the fucking patterns. So we'll see how that goes. Again, not using the gauge of yarn because I don't want to work in worsted weight yarn. And I think I'm going to throw some beads on my latest sample of design number 5, which is coming up in August. So what else did I learn this week? Oh, so then I've been working on my Knitter's Math class, which everybody's always like, you should do that. And so it's just, but I've been trying to make it simpler and make it smaller. So I'm calling it these bite-sized classes. And then I'm also doing one to run in tandem with it on how to set up spreadsheets and how to make them useful for what we do. And you know all about that, Anne Marie. So I did the beading. So this afternoon I did a crafternoon for my campers, which I totally forgot about last week. I'm doing some collage buttons, which I love to do. And I just have little piles of stuff. So yeah, so then I'll show you what I do. Anne Marie, you've probably seen this, but so here's a really simple one where I just wrap some yarn and put other buttons on top of this big square button. Here's a recent one I did, kind of like things that move. So it's just clever stitching and buttons. I always have lots of buttons. And this has some beads, the same type that I use for Porto. Oh, here's a pretty one. So this button I bought, it's a vintage button. I think it may be 3 buttons put together, but no, it looks like it's a real thing. And then these are Italian buttons covered in cord, and these are some fun little corkscrews. This one I made. So there's a rectangular buckle frame, 2 of those, and a circular something. And these are just extravagant stitches in thick yarn with some mother of pearl sequins. And the skewer I stole from the restaurant we had our anniversary dinner at. Here's another one this is a shell, and then more of these round Italian buttons. I bought a bunch of those. And here's another one so this one is pretty crazy, but when it's on the piece, which is wildly colorful, it really looks pretty calm. It was a little hard for me to get that out there. One more. One more. This is my favorite one. It's just a button to cover, and I wrapped yarn around it. Then these are bullion stitches and some buttons that I bought years ago. Albuquerque, they're silver. And then this one, which I haven't put a back on yet. It's just some buttons and then some beads that I had. And this kind of metallic, it's yarn, but it's almost thread size. So I was teaching them how you figure those out And, like I always kind of have an idea of what I'm going to do, but hi, Iris, you need lots of stuff because I end up throwing out a lot of my ideas and you need to kind of allow things to flow. But I always think that I'm kind of mimicking Robert Rauschenberg. Whose collages, which are huge, I just love. And, I've got this screen that keeps popping. There we go. Okay, so I'm wearing this shirt, which I bought off the sale table, so I didn't spend a lot on it. This is the first pin I ever bought, probably in like 1983 or 84. So I bought it because I love the color. And every time I put it on, you could see that the neck is just not right. So they didn't make the front neck drop low enough for the size of collar stand that they have here. And then the neck is pretty big, so it's forgiving, but it keeps like riding up like this. So, but it matches my pants perfectly. So, and here they put in kind of a set-in sleeve, but they made this oversized. And, I don't mind where it sits on my shoulder, but the armhole is not curved enough. And then it comes down to here, which is approximately in line with my bust level. Like, I don't need my armhole down there. You can, And so what happens is every time I raise my arm, the whole shirt just comes up, which is okay if nobody's around to see my stomach, which no one wants to see anymore. So, hi, Antoinette. Anyhow, wish I could just sit with their pattern maker for a little bit and explain to them. I love the kind of basic stuff from this company, but the fit is just terrible. And then I go back to working on my fit issues or classes and writing on fit issues. So that's kind of what my week was like. As I said, I had lots of appointments and things. So I was out and I'm really excited about finally doing some work on the Knitter's math classes. And I've actually been using some of the stuff that I had to do to convert my gauge for a patio bandana. If you're in the market for some things to put on your head, there's this cute bandana. There's my headscarf, which you can make. It's set up so that you plug in your measurements, the measurements that you want. So like this one is, I think, 53 inches long, and maybe it's more like 60 something inches long. And I will say that I did the cast off a little tight on this one. And then the Sun and Sky one is like 44 inches long. And so all you have to do is decide how long you want the whole thing, and then how long do you want the part that's going to wrap around your head. So you want it to be like shorter than your entire head measurement. And if you're wondering what that measurement is it's almost the same as around your head. And this one is probably more like, it's 60-some inches. Oh, Antoinette, are you the one who didn't get the update? Oh, cool. So did you make Antoinette says she bought the ebook and she's almost done with hers. The bandana, because this just came out on Thursday. Although it's not hard to knit, it just, the rows are really long if you put as many stitches on as I did. So this one, it's more like 20 inches. Yeah, me too. So I haven't cut the ends off this one. This one has beads, and I have no long hair to tie up, so I just tie it into top knot. But this one, the fisherman's rib part, is longer, which doesn't really matter if you don't mind having it that way. So anyhow, it was fun. I don't like it as much as I like fisherman's rib, which I feel has better. Oh, really? She says that she has the last 3 collaboration books that Lindsay and I have worked on. And I'm always surprised that anybody buys anything, but I'm very flattered. So Lindsay's a good designer, despite the fact that I bitched about her pattern earlier. It's just different styles and then different languages. Different ways of presenting information. I am very lengthy a lot. Try to make information easy to find. Very rare. Most designers think that you can just find the answer yourself, which isn't bad. You know, knitters are resourceful. I think I do it more because it's a matter of control. Oh, good. She says, Lindsay has taken me outside my comfort zone and made me a better knitter. So Lindsay is very clever, and I loved her beginning on the bandana. That was just freaking genius. And she thinks things through really well. I just wish she explained more because I find it frustrating. Not know because I'm always in control. So this one, this Porto, is the perfect follow-up to the bandana because the fisherman rib is almost the same and like 5 videos on it. Yeah, Porto is next. So I just put the beads on, made 3 of them, and I'm done. But if you do my swatch and you use the same yarn, it'll work for Napoli, which is my last design, or the last design in that ebook. And I think it's really fun to just have these quick projects. So I will undoubtedly do a blog about this at some point, but I think these would be great gifts. The headband, the other designs in the book, and you can make them out of wool. They'll all work in wool or your favorite winter fiber. So I think they'd make great gifts, and you could put beads on them or do some little thing or do them in a color, you know, for the holidays, that sort of thing. So despite the fact that they were done as warm weather, quick knits, and it has been really hot here, not today, but it has been. And I was really grateful last night to be working on patio bandana, which is not big at all, and not have anything sitting in my lap. Yeah, so I love putting beads on things. And I did a time lapse on how to do this, but I will do a real tutorial next week. And these beads that I use have 4 holes. But yeah, I have lots of beads. My favorite bead shop is up in Vancouver, BC. And we haven't crossed the border this year, so I'm glad that we went up. I think it may have been the year before last. And I have a bunch of really cool beads, and I could probably use their website if I had to. So I did a shawl. This was many years ago. Somebody had given my sister and I some alpaca that was like just perfect colors for me. It was taupe and peach and just gorgeous. It was so fucking hot to wear. But I had more than 3,000 beads in it, and I put them all on the yarn so that they were knitted in. And I used to bead the yarn when my husband had a meeting once a month that ran. You know, it started at like 7:00 and it was down on the peninsula. And so, you know, it was 45 minutes getting home afterwards. And it was often midnight before he got home. So when I was really tired waiting up for him, I would bead the yarn. I haven't done a lot of that. I had other people do my samples and I didn't put as many beads on. But yeah, it's kind of fun. And then I took another shawl, a small shawl that I did, and I just sewed beads along the outside edge. Everybody loves it, but everybody loves that shawl. I've got it in many variations. So anyhow, we normally watch, for those of you who don't normally tune in. Hi, Christine. My husband, Mitch, has a really nice turntable and amplifier. It's got those tubes. It's a tube amplifier. And so he got that for his last major birthday. And so he does what he calls the music hour every night during the week. And it's an hour of him playing records, LPs. And on Mondays and Fridays, it's 90 minutes. So sometimes he plays, he's got like 12 feet of albums from when albums were all we had. And then now he's been adding to his collection, but probably only put another foot on that 12. So sometimes we listen to old things from the collection, and a lot of times we just listen to jazz because as we move from rock and roll into jazz, vinyl is the best sound. You can't get it with digital. That is so true. The tubes on this amplifier just give it a great sound. And so the bad thing about vinyl is you have to change it every 20 minutes or whatever, for however long the album is. But so, as we've gotten older, we listen to more jazz, and there's lots of great albums out there. And we watch documentaries on the weekends so I can knit without guilt because I'm learning something. And we've learned so much about cool jazz musicians that we never knew about. So since he's doped up from having his MRI, he said he's not doing the music hour, and it usually goes from 5 to 6:30. He's also not having our usual Friday martini, so we'll do that on Saturday instead. And we are both exhausted because it's been really hot here. We do not have air conditioning, and we have a flat roof. And last night it was like 85 in our bedroom. And then we have fans going, so neither one of us sleeps well because we're not used to that. So today it was very mild. It was overcast most of the day. It's sunny now. And I'm just looking forward to a good night's sleep. And I need to pick up my button adventure stuff, but I think I'll hold off on that and may work on my hand stitching tonight. I have a nice so I get distracted towards the end of this because as we approach 5 o'clock, people have come home from work or they're out walking their dogs and we're running. Lots of people run in Seattle, and I just get distracted by all the comings and goings. It looks like maybe Amazon's making a big delivery across the street. So normally I'm just sitting looking at my computer all day and I don't see anything. But when I'm standing here at my standing desk, I see all the things going by. So I'm going to take the extra hour and a half that I have and work on a project that I've been wanting to work on all week, but just haven't had the time. I have to figure out what to fix for dinner. So I love to cook. I'm a really good cook. Mitch has been having what we think is SIBO, which is a overload of bacteria in your small intestine. And so he's been working on an elimination diet. So I feel for him because he's been miserable for over a year, but we're eating a lot of meat and he can't have gluten and some fruits, but not other things. He doesn't really eat vegetables. And I thought of something earlier today that I thought would be a really good dinner. And I've completely forgotten what it is to get creative. Oh, I've got he can eat corn. And so I've got some corn and I think I'll just do a steak. I cut the corn off the cob and then saute it with olive oil and butter and salt and pepper. And it's delicious and he loves it. He can't eat any sugars. So he's eating some fruit, but not a lot and we're all just figuring this out by trial and error. I can't remember what he told me he was going to do next week. I am not a fussy eater. I have no digestive. It's really hard for me to be fully empathetic with how miserable he probably is. And then I love to eat. So the fact that we're eating this boring food is hard, but it's cherry season. And so I'm eating a lot of cherries, which sadly he can't eat. Oh, and he can eat tomatoes. So there's a woman going by with it's a white dress with like blue embroidery at the bottom. It looks like it could be anything. It looks like what I've seen when we've gone to fundraisers for Ukraine, but who knows what it is. It could be Scandinavian. But it looked like it was all cross-stitched, and it was like ankle length. So that's all I've got today. I'll let everybody go. It's 4:55. I need to clean my glasses. And I'm going to go play with the pattern tailor for a while and see what I can get done. And then enjoy another night knitting. Patio bandana. I should be done by the end. I think I calculated I was about halfway through last night. And you have a good weekend and happy knitting. And thanks for coming. So what I do for people who haven't been here before is I download the video and then I upload it and cut out all of I use AI. I'm not doing it myself. Cut out all of the vacancy and 3 repeats and bind off. Good for you. And then I compress it and upload it on Substack so you can watch it or tell your friends to watch it or whatever. Anyhow, I think I've gotten everything out of my system. I can now go on to the rest of my day. See you, Iris. Yeah, let's talk. Maybe next week we can do craft again.